Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands or stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. We talk movies all the time.
Overlord.
Wait, no, Jim. And as professional screenwriters ourselves and avid cinephiles, we'd like to believe we can meet any demand thrown at us. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TCD Witt, and joining me as always is Jim. Tell me something I don't know, Burzelic. Hey, Jim.
All the time.
Tell me something I don't know. Because I know lots of stuff now.
Yeah.
We know the origin of words.
It's true.
Of keys to city. We know all about that. But tell me something I don't know.
Did you know that
oh, come on.
is it nitroglycerin?
That's I do know about nitroglycerin.
Is
it's in bombs. No, it's in TNT. It's the N in TNT.
Was originally derived from not nitroglycerin.
Oh,
I'm messing up.
I didn't say tell me something you don't know. I said tell me something I don't know.
It's rendered down from urine.
What? Nitroglycerin comes from pee?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem factual. I didn't say make something up.
Industrial, I don't believe they do that in for making industrial nitroglycerin, but when it was first discovered, I forget the name of the scientist or alchemist. There was a guy basically took a whole bunch of urine, rendered it down.
Wait, you're serious? This comes from urine?
And then like he kept rendering it down over and over and over again until phosphorus, not nitroglycerin.
Okay.
I believe white phosphorus
comes from pee.
Originally, yeah, that's how it was discovered.
Ew.
I believe. Crap, no, man. I gotta go back to.
So a scientist was going past a microwave, and the chocolate bar in his pocket melted, and he's like, "I should pee on this and create phosphorus." Is that the story? That's exactly the story. I thought so. I remember hearing that in science class at some point. That microwaves and then peeing on a stingray, like you pee on the jellyfish.
Where did the chocolate come in?
I was eating chocolate while I was learning about this.
Oh,
wow. This is a whole lot of nonsense. And I'm realizing I don't have the demand up right now, so I have to go looking for it.
Oh, do I have to vamp again?
Vamp, Jim.
Vamp.
Yeah, no, don't just say vamp. You have to tell me something. What does vamp mean? Is vamp shortened for something?
Yeah, it's short for vampire.
Really?
Yeah, because vampires.
So like when something's going poorly and it's really sucking, you want someone to be the vampire to suck the.
No, they have to suck the attention, the energy to keep it going, because otherwise the audience fades away. So to vamp, you have to vampire the audience back to life.
Wow. I'm still looking.
You're still looking, so I got to keep it.
Normally, I'm way more prepared here, but we're not at home.
No,
we're not at either of our homes.
Nope.
I can't. I have zero Wi-Fi, so I'm going off my phone.
It's on the road,
which is on.
It's not actually on the road. That'd be weird. Would it be weird? It would be just as weird, I think.
If we were,
it would be the exact same. It'd be the exact same amount of weirdness.
It'd be the exact same amount of this isn't working right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I normally would have this all like.
Also, I have a confession.
What's that?
Vampire does not relate to vamping at all.
What? You had me so. You've lied to me for the last time, Burzelic.
Yeah, that's not true.
Oh. That's the first truth you've. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay. Oh boy. So season 4 off to a great start. That Batman episode was a lot of fun.
It was.
I don't think I promoted it when we recorded, but over at our YouTube channel, there's new bonus content we're doing this year, which includes a commentary track to the film, as well as basically a bonus episode of the show.
But the commentary, it's not a normal commentary track.
No, it's
right.
Yeah. It's not.
You don't sync it up and watch the movie with us.
Right. It's highlights to. It's basically just us watching the movie, and I picked all the best parts and put it in because we didn't feel compelled to talk through the whole thing, in that we had to talk every single second.
Yeah.
So
and also we were just enjoying the movie for certain stretches.
So so it's just the highlights from the commentary tracks put to the video, and we're going to be doing that for every episode this season. So if you are enjoying the screenwriting process over here, you can also watch some of our basically research process over on YouTube, which does include the Batman. At least half of that is just an episode of this where we're discussing the movie and not exactly a review, more of an analysis. And similarly with today's episode, which coincides with Austin Powers. So if you'd like to go check out us babbling through Austin Powers, I had a little more fun on that one with some visual gags, but that's sort of a plug for the YouTube channel as well. So if you just can't get enough of these lies from Jim.
You know what? I really like these guys' podcast. I wish I could hear them on YouTube.
You can.
Good news.
Good news. But that being said, why don't we get into the episode for today? So we have demands coming in from listeners literally all over the world.
All over.
Thank you so much for everyone who keeps sending them in. You can send us your demands over at studiodemandsit.com, or you can name your studio and send us any demand you like, and we have to meet it right here on the spot with little to no preparation. Perspiration?
Yep.
Great. Okay. But today's demand comes from Arnie, A-R-N-E, Arn? Arnie? Sorry for saying that wrong.
I believe it's Arn.
From, oh boy, Sheerlinick Studios. Okay. So Arnie from Sheerlinick Studios says, so if Austin Powers was plucked out of the 60s and dropped into 1997, so specifically plucked from 1967 and dropped in 1997, that's like if we would defrost someone from the 90s today and make, oh boy, I got to zoom in here. I'm going off my phone.
Make it tinier.
Oh God. It is so small in my hand on the screen here. Okay. It would be like frickin' A. It would be, oh my God.
Would you like me to give it a shot?
Dropped from the early 90s today and make that era the subject of ridicule. How's that for putting things into perspective? So, sorry, a long-winded way of getting there. It's 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
Is 1992.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So how's that for putting in the stand-in character for Austin Powers would probably be a grumpy, brooding, yet dominant Bruce Willis, Steven Seagal pastiche. But what would that plot be? Something about a dated perspective on hacking or the internet? Is the villain a radicalized ex-military person? How much would the protagonist complain about PC culture? Zac Efron would have to be the protagonist. Oh,
okay. It's the demand.
It's the demand. Okay. Well, okay. Fine. Zac Efron would have to be the protagonist. He would still be a secret agent, but like a GoldenEye era Bond type parody.
Oh no.
This demand is pretty specific.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We've done this before where we'll address part of the demand and then try to circle around to like achieve the rest of it.
Okay.
Let's just see what the rest is here. The villain would have to be someone like Neil Patrick Harris with a floppy disk, or that he's trying to use to destroy the internet or something like that. Efron would spend the entire film hunting down wacky Dr. Horrible and all his crazy henchmen to stop him from using said floppy disk. And they punch each other for a bunch until they are both informed that floppy disks are virtually useless now. Okay, so he's kind of like laying out the plot here. They talk for a bit. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, wow, this keeps going. All right, let's.
He did our job.
Yeah. Okay, let's trim this back. The essentials here, essentially what this is pluck someone from 30 years ago and drop them into today.
Sure.
There's some, so like the NPH and Zac Efron, sure, we can cast and worry about that, but let's hone in on that. If the idea is taking someone from 1992 and dropping them into now using the Austin Powers formula.
Sure.
So this is not Austin Powers 4. This is not Austin Powers.
Correct.
As we did with our Not Hamilton episode.
You know what it is?
What's that?
I realized as we were doing this, didn't even realize it when we were watching Austin Powers, preparing all this. It's Demolition Man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. All right. So thank you for everyone. If you really like this episode, you can hit us up at Studio Demand. Thank you for listening. And oh God, I just bought my mic. There we go. Wow, I hit my mic pretty hard there. Yes, it is Demolition Man. Oh my God. Okay.
Both the hero and villain are frozen. They're awakened later in time for whatever purposes, where they are then men out of time
and forced to face like the weird nature of society. In oh man, all our work's done for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's different? That's not entirely true. It's right because that was it's about Sylvester Stallone. I forget his name, and Simon.
Wesley Snipes,
played by Wesley Snipes,
playing the Joker.
Yeah, basically.
John Spartan.
Thank you, John Spartan. And they're already in the future, right? It's already a sci-fi, takes place in the near future. They're then frozen and flung further in the future. What we're trying to do here is we're playing on the past.
Right.
So our modern day is the future for these characters.
For this main character. Now, I seeing the demand now and actually reading it, there's some surprises for me. It's surprising there, but I do think essentially the core of it stays the same. Austin Powers is a send-up of the 60s era that Mike Myers loved. It's the Peter Niven, even early Connery, ridiculous British
kind
spy.
of the origin of spy cinema. Is that accurate? That just kind of came out. I didn't really think about that.
That's fair. At least as we understand spy thrillers now, spy action movies now, 100% you can point to that era, and James Bond is the prototype for all spies that came, whether they are replicas or the antithesis.
It's the spy that like even going to Ethan Hunt or Jason Bourne, you started when those movies came out is how is this guy different from Bond?
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm curious, where do you go? The studio's demanding that we do an Austin Powers.
Sure.
Not an Austin Powers, but do an Austin Powers type.
So at first I thought they were going to go exactly where I was going to start because they said a Bruce Willis type. And because I was thinking about like, okay, if this is a send up of 60s spy cinema, the 90s spy cinema was really still kind of James Bond and still kind of doing that. That wouldn't be the genre to send up, I would think. Okay. So I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, it would be what was really popular at the time. That was sort of its niche. I don't know where that sentence was going, so I'm just gonna stop that sentence. The rogue or renegade or just lone cop.
Okay.
Right? It'd be Die Hard, Bad Boys,
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon. I mean, those are late 80s, but that's the entire point. It doesn't have to be movies that came out in 1992.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It has to be like a genre very popular in that era.
The fifth highest grossing movie of 1992 was Lethal Weapon 3.
Nice. I love that one.
So actually the top 10 here, funny enough, Wayne's World came out that year. Lethal Weapon 3's in here. The Bodyguard was number 2. But Austin Powers didn't pick the most popular genre and then send it up. Mike Myers picked a very specific genre.
I'm not picking the most popular genre. Right. I'm picking a specific one that is definitive of that era.
Last Boy Scouts around this time. You're right to pick Die Hard. You're holy shit. Like you're picking, I never would have gone there. I was thinking more like Commando, Terminator 2 action, but you're right. The cop on the edge, rogue cop.
Demolition Man.
And addressing 2022 feelings of cops with a cop from that era. Yikers! Yeah. So as much as Austin Powers, the sexism was like the main focus of, dude.
The sexuality of the 60s, transplanted to the 90s.
Times have changed for the sexual like revolution and whatnot, right? You can't just shaggy now, shaggy later kind of stuff, right? So you're suggesting that we take a cop on the edge,
that kind of thing,
and drop him into 2022 with those old attitudes. Yes.
Comedy will ensue.
Well, what one would hope is, so you've picked a dangerous subject matter is what I'm saying.
I know, but it normally, yes, it would. However, we're going to fill it with fart jokes.
Yes.
And pratfalls. So
falling and farting, the cup runneth over. It is evergreen, as you stated previously on in our previous conversations of farts and falling. It's an evergreen source of comedy.
Yep.
So the addressing of hypersexuality of the 60s into the 90s with Austin Powers, having a cop on the edge who wants to just be Dirty Harry, who wants to be Riggs,
sure,
to and then partnering them with dude, no, stop. Even if even if it's a matter of a black cop being partnered with our cis white male machismo, jacked up, way too manly to the point of homoerotic, right? The Roadhouse amount of machismo here.
Okay. I see what you're going for, mijo.
Does that
was a Roadhouse reference?
That was a Roadhouse. Does that offer up some comedy of? Oh, see, then we're verging into some sensitive territory of You suggested Rebel Wilson as someone who could be a good foil to Austin Powers.
Yeah,
having Rebel Wilson or a type who is very tells it like it is, is just the epitome of lampshading comedy.
Sure,
just pointing out and going oh, you're a racist. What? No, what? I'm not. I just do things a certain way.
I got 4 black friends.
I guess. See, the fact that you can count them is a problem. But
what are you talking about? That's more than anyone else I know.
Do you feel you verge into dangerous territory by picking a cop to do this with?
Yes,
you have. Are you uncomfortable right now? Are you squirming?
Nah, I'm not yet sure exactly where the gags are going to be, because even Last Action Hero was that. Now that's not to say because Demolition Man is done and Last Action Hero is done, this has already been done, because technically Get Smart was also a send up of spies, and that was made at the same time as the James Bond stuff.
Right.
So it's not like parodies of the genre itself weren't already a thing.
For sure. And we pointed out that Johnny English is a derivative of Austin Powers, but it's its own thing.
Yeah.
You were shocked to discover there's 3 of them.
It was.
So where would you go with that? How do you craft that? Are you suggesting we freeze him in time, Captain America style, unthaw him, do that whole thing?
Yeah, I assumed that was going to be the same plot. That's how we transport him through time. I suppose the conventions of the genre don't lend itself to that as easily. The reason it works with Austin Powers is because James Bond was an over the top, it got to the point that it was so over the top that cryogenic freezing is totally science fiction elements totally fit into the genre.
But having a cop suddenly knocked out and wakes up Rip Van Winkle style in the year 2022.
Right, that's weird.
So figuring out a contrivance just to get our character from the 90s into the 2000s.
How would that have been if Hans Gruber's escape plan from Die
Hard.
Nakatori
from Nakatomi Plaza.
Nakatomi Plaza was to freeze himself in a container on the roof.
I think you just figured out the opening of the movie. That it's a robbery heist. And instead of
his getaway is through time.
His getaway is to what we will do is we will freeze ourselves in the basement.
Long enough that the statutes of limitations
are well past.
So he unfreezes with the money.
We have all the money we need now. and then to discover that what the money he stole is worthless.
Right, because he stole bonds or something.
Yeah, or
not that bonds are worthless, but
I got something.
It would be stocks, and then the company just.
There we go. That might be more realistic. I was going to suggest comic book memorabilia. We will buy all of this let's say try 90
we'll buy all the first edition Golden Key comics.
We will take all the Wayne's World memorabilia.
The movie that just came out.
It's going to be the biggest movie ever. We're going to take all the just to mock the other movies that came out. They're like, we're going to take all the Home Alone 2 Lost in New York merchandise. And it's going to be worth millions in the future. Or comic books. Like,
a small anecdote. I thought that's what was going to happen with Jurassic Park memorabilia.
Yeah.
And I loved dinosaurs at the time. I loved Jurassic Park. So I tried collecting anything and everything I could. Mm-hmm. I don't have them anymore, unfortunately. That would make this story so much better. But I even collected the fry containers from McDonald's.
Wow.
Because they were branded with Jurassic Park.
Yeah, you had a strange sense of reality there.
I did.
You were like our villain in this movie.
I was 12 years old.
But you might be onto something there, that if it's a heist and the escape plan is to cryogenically freeze themselves to be woken up in the future and then to discover the money they stole or whatnot it's the stocks are worthless or the memorabilia is worthless. I think memorabilia lends itself to much more comedy.
Sure,
that
that's
if they're
true.
like, we have all the Sister Act all memorabilia, this is gonna win the Oscar. Sure. Trust me. And then to unthaw, and it's like, this stuff is worthless. Look at it. I'll look it up on eBay right now.
What was new technology at the time that didn't make it?
Oh, AOL discs. Remember, you'd get those free AOL discs.
Was that happening by 92?
Yeah, well, 97 was probably the peak of, like, we're like, I mean, AOL's in the first Austin Powers. Sure, that's 97. But Tamagotchis, I suppose, rollerblades. I'm trying to think of some other 90s things.
Crates of rollerblades.
But then to like unthaw.
Roller skates are on the way out. We put all the wheels in a row.
Where can I sell this memorabilia? I don't know, man. Let me look up on eBay. What is eBay? We'll go to Amazon or something. Oh yeah, you could.
Why would we go to South America?
You could get. What is in? Looks like you can get about $5 for this. $5 million? No, just five. What? You think rollerblades are worth $5 million?
Wow. Or this is worth upward of $5.
$5 million? I knew it.
No, not $5 million.
Just $5. How many do you have? I don't want to talk about this. So yeah.
These were $45 when I stole them.
I got them. I bought these marked up.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we have our silly plot here, because then now it's a heist movie. Because now it's like, all this stuff is worthless. What memorabilia of the era is worth something? I'm going to steal that.
And go back in time?
No. I'm just going to steal it. So it's going to be.
Oh, right. Because going from the million to the billion.
Yeah. So like what? So then it's like, all this stuff is worthless. What of my era? What should I have gotten? Oh, well, if you've gotten first edition prints of like, Ultimate Spider-Man, which was 2001 or whatever. But
what if the heist is another way to do it? What if there is a city, likely New York, decides to do a giant time capsule?
Okay, yeah.
And so they're putting all sorts of really valuable things of 1992 in this, and so our villain hides himself in like some sort of cryogenic frozen type thing in the time capsule. Why does our hero do this?
We'll figure that out. The fact that we're focused on the villain, I think, actually helps. I think that because Dr. Evil drives the plot.
Sure. The reason they unthaw Austin is because Dr. Evil shows up.
Yeah. So I think this is the right idea. So gets in the time capsule and seals himself in. Does he have his crew with him? I think that's something to consider.
I'm going to say no.
He has to reassemble a new crew.
Yeah, he tries assembling the old crew.
And they're all like in their 60s or whatnot. Like, oh man.
And or his kid and or their kids.
There lends itself to some good humor in that, like, your dad.
I mean, they likely wouldn't be, well, some of them could be children, but any who were children at the time would now be adults, would be the appropriate age. And it could be,
Your father was my right-hand man. Now you are my right hand. No, gross, man. What? No, ugh. Get out of here. You're my demolitions expert. I play Minecraft. What do I know? Mining.
Perfect.
So time capsule. What else you got?
Well, I was just that's the justification for like memorabilia, and because he knows, right? The entire point to the time capsule is this stuff will be worth something. So, I will unfreeze myself in the future and abscond with these things hold them ransom. Or
just imagine
on the black market,
the unthawing, like
in South America, in the Amazon.
We're going to the Amazon. So I think that's a great, like the opening the capsule and like like coming out of it and like there's a dude in here. Like, I have all your Tamagotchis. And then we have a heist movie and it elicits itself some. So Austin Powers moving into the 90s from the 60s still presented a very James Bond spy-like movie. It still had a lot of the callings of, or the tropes of that genre, having gunfights and car chases, thinking like Lethal Weapon level action in this movie with all this silliness. My comic books. Like having his crew of like 5 kids, or 5, not kids, like 5
just
modern era people who don't like this guy. Some of them do. Like
just because their dad was a criminal doesn't mean they are.
They are too, but he's somehow roped them in. Totally putting him in the suit and like the hair, like the slicked back Gordon Gekko hair.
Sure.
And just making him a slimy 90s villain.
Yep.
Who's also terribly violent. Thinking more like the Lethal Weapon, like Gary Busey.
No, absolutely. they all did, right? Like I think actually using it sort of as a litmus test, Last Action Hero like hit all of those as well. So if we're not too far off Last Action Hero,
we're on the money.
Yeah.
So having him like trying to recruit 2 of the kids of his old group, who they could be like 20-year-olds, like they used to be children, and like
actually, well, it wouldn't even just be him recruiting them. I think what it might be is one or more of them actually are the ones who wake him up. It's not like a timed thing. He needed his crew to wake him up, and they took too long. The plan was originally to wait
a few years.
A few wake him up, 30. And then they would take this stuff somewhere, hold out, but instead it was decades.
It's 30 years later.
Yeah.
Like, you fools. And like, but having him try to recruit someone who says no, and he just blows them away. Like just that 90s, like the Last Boy Scout kind of violence of like, oh God, that's a lot of blood.
Dropping people in helicopter blades.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. But essentially what this needs to be is the Expendables, but funny. Intentionally funny.
Yeah.
Like
it had some humor. I don't want to say,
The Expendables, I feel, took itself far too seriously and didn't lean enough into what we've back and listen. It's the second episode of our entire show.
Still a great episode. One of our best, in my opinion.
Thank you. I think so too. Mostly because I convinced you in like 5 minutes what it should be. Anyway, This should be stupid and violent and big and whether it's our villain or now we got to get our hero here. So plucking him, now that we have our villain and he's being violent and blowing stuff up and killing people, and it's all in this pursuit of heisting some Comic-Con, I don't know, like that his whole deal is that he's just being violent and he's out there, and it's okay. Well, why is our John Spartan or our Johnny Utah or our Commando Rambo, why him? Like how do we get him there? Why is he the one to stop this guy? Because one way to approach this, particularly with what modern era movies do, is dust off the old guy like Liam Neeson or Mel Gibson or whatnot to do one with Sean Penn.
I don't think it should be, he shouldn't just be an old guy coming out of retirement.
No, it should be the 30-something-year-old grizzled Last Action Hero plucked from the past and brought to the future as well. So drawing from Austin Powers, we have cryogenically frozen or time travel, because in Austin Powers 2 they use the time machine to unthaw Austin and use him in that regard. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea how to get our character into this modern era? I don't mean to put this all on you. I'm just like, it helps to.
It would be to do something similar.
Well, coming from.
Like, why would they freeze a disgruntled cop?
Maybe
not disgruntled, but
that he crossed the line one too many times, and they literally put him on ice.
I mean,
it's like give me
Demolition Man.
Give me your Oh, Jesus! Damn you, Demolition Man, for being exactly what this movie's supposed to be. Sticking him in solitary all these years, like if he's literally in prison and he's just been in solitary confinement for 30 years. Nah, but then that makes him old. Like, we don't want an old guy. We want a 30-something hero.
Yeah.
DeLorean. Like,
do an actual time machine.
I know, like an actual time machine. Austin Powers 2, Austin Powers 3 both use actual time machines. I'm suggesting a DeLorean, which is out of the 80s.
Or the other thing is, so to keep following the villain, he wakes up in the future and his plan worked. The stuff is actually very valuable. And he does end up kind of taking over. So someone from now has to take a time machine to go get.
So almost Terminator 2-esque. Instead of going back to save Sarah Connor, John Connor, it's going back and like
we're really stretching the tropes of the genre to include some pretty big sci-fi elements.
Some heavy sci-fi. Well, Terminator 2 was just it was 1990. Oh no, it hadn't happened yet. Was that 95? I thought
it happened around there, but Terminator and Terminator 2 was a sci-fi to begin with. It wasn't a cop action movie.
But it does. Terminator 2 specifically epitomizes the 90s action movie pretty well. I mean, it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. So if we want to draw from that as well. Yeah, Terminator 2 was 1992. I mean, literally, this movie we could riff off of Terminator 2 as well. Hell, we could riff off of just Schwarzenegger's movies.
We could.
And so having a time machine element in here of, the heist, our villain gets to the future. He's violent. He's being a dickhead, whatever. Having...
we got to stop this guy.
He's
being a dickhead.
Having someone like there's only one man who can stop him.
Yeah.
And then traveling back in time to retrieve our hero.
Kyle Danger.
Ooh, Kyle's a great name too for the kind of asshole he's going to be.
Yeah.
You stop being such a Kyle. Why you keep saying that like it's a bad thing? My name is Kyle. Yeah, but it's sort of a general catch-all term for douchebaggery in 2022. You mean cool? Like it's a super cool name now?
No. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Yes.
Like
you can't just say yes when I tell you how a thing is and that, like, you can't change it. All right, fine, it is.
All right. I met a really beautiful woman. Her name is Karen. She had so many opinions. Like when I saw her talking to the manager, I'm like, oh gosh, Kyle, you need to. Whew. All right, man, you got to learn. You got a lot to learn.
I do want to apologize to our
listeners named Kyle.
Kyle.
We're sorry. Let's name him Chad. Chad Danger.
Technically, Kyle is like he's one of the more he's the smarter. One of the more level-headed characters from South Park. So
yeah,
we've had over 20 years of Kyle being
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. You've had your day, Kyle. Now we're taking you down. Kyle Danger is here to, so what?
Danger is my last name.
Danger is my last name. What? I have no middle name. Not
everyone has one.
Not everyone has one. It's a perfectly normal thing. You got a problem with that?
He just loses a bullet every time.
Stop doing that. We're running out of ammo here. How else am I supposed to threaten you? There's a butterfly knife.
I could just straight pistol whip you. Oh, God, no. Oh, my God, why are you assaulting me? It's not assault, it's intimidation. No, that's assault.
It's assault. Man, you have a lot to learn. Everything I needed to learn, I learned back in 1992. That was the peak of everything anyone would need to know. What could possibly have happened in 30 years that would change my mind? Oh, Kyle. Okay. So traveling back to pick this guy, like I even going so far as picking him up the day he dies, right? If our opening is the heist.
Oh God. That's it. He dies. The villain kills him. 30 years later, he is revived.
Cloned. There we go. Now we took time.
So here's the thing. I think if we're really going to incorporate time travel, cryogenics, cloning, that type of stuff, we need to move away from the genre we're in. Mm-hmm. The badass lone cop thing genre doesn't really lend itself toward it.
To the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to lose it because it feels like some good stuff, but I'm willing to consider what like
the other the other thing we could do is we could look at some of the other stipulations. Mm-hmm. We could start because that demand did or do we want to save that for after the break?
Well, it got really specific. It like laid out what our plot should be, which kind of doesn't give us a lot of latitude. It said like, oh, NPH has a floppy disk that they're going to use to destroy the world, and it's like, well, floppy disks are pretty obsolete at this point.
I think that was the point though. In 92, they were still right. Like in 92, we were still using 5 1/4 disc floppies. 3.5 inch were the new hotness. I remember this because I used them, and then going into college is when I was forced to move to 3.5 floppies.
Wow.
Forced.
I couldn't handle it. It was too much. What are you even threatening?
But
the computer.
But I was wondering, like, if we did push it more over to the spy genre, is there something we could do in that? Like, could we still take that sentiment? Like, because I feel like the James Bond sentiment of that time wasn't like Austin Powers didn't really. They did it a little bit, but like, it kind of tried being ultra violent, where like he would raid an enemy compound and just like mow everyone down with an Uzi. Like that was actually that was just sort of the name of the game in the 90s.
Well, that's why I was
mowing down bad guys with Uzis.
Well, that's what I was thinking of, like Commando, or even in T2 when the T-800 like fires at all the cops from the window and doesn't kill any of them because John won't let him do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So, are you suggesting we lean more into this? Okay, so you're suggesting like the spy genre. If we just did James Bond,
would there be a way to combine? I think that's sort of what you were doing. Is you were trying to combine them.
I was.
So like,
to give.
Would there be a way to make like a super cop? I mean, I know that's already the name of a movie starring Jackie Chan from the 90s.
Like to go to Arnie's demand here. Like he has his whole story worked out. Dr. Horrible, they punch each other for a bunch, and then they're both informed that floppy disks are outdated. They talk for a bit. NPH reveals to Efron that he was bullied as a kid and wants to destroy the internet to stop cyberbullying, and they hug it out, and everything is fixed thanks to the power of friendship. Or speed but funny. Either works for me. Another super cop of the 90s would be Keanu from Speed. So if moving it over to the spy genre, I don't think that's enough different from what Austin Powers already did.
Speed gave me an idea.
Okay.
What if we did do the cryogenically frozen thing, and our villain's plan, he's taken people hostage, and he has cryogenically frozen himself with the hostages. And if they are unfrozen, or the temperature of the container goes below us or raises a certain amount, like they'll all die or something. So he's somehow holding them hostage. And so our hero decides, fine, I'm going to freeze myself too. And so that way, when they're finally unfrozen, to finish the villain's plan, he unfreezes himself and the hostages. Oh no, Kyle Danger was there the whole time.
I mean, end of movie.
No, that's our job. Now our job begins.
No, they unthaw, bang. That'll teach you.
Take the hostage taker out of the negotiation.
Shoot the hostage taker.
Why didn't he just do that?
I should have done that in the first place. I should have done that before we got frozen. I hate you. I know. I think we're onto something with I like the time capsule. I think that it's so silly, and that's what Austin Powers is like very high concept comedy, very silliness.
I'm actually now I'm liking this taking hostages thing.
Taking hostages and taking them from the past to the future.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on it.
No?
Yeah. Like what's the like he has the hostages and now it's save the hostages and that's the whole movie? Like it's Speed, but somehow we take
a little bit. Yeah.
I like the idea of the bad guy taking hostages.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like the freezing part. I'm trying to justify somehow and I don't know why that in my brain justifies it more.
Well, like the sci-fi element breaks taking the super cop and the super villain. Like I take your point there that it doesn't break it, but it does shift this a certain way. If we want to just do Lethal Weapon 3 Riggs Mel Gibson, how funny is that, right?
Yeah.
For the inappropriateness of it, plucked from 92 and dropped in 2022. I can't think of any other way to do that but time travel or cryo freezing.
Yeah.
So we have to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that should force us to then have to maintain some sort of sci-fi spy element of it.
No, correct. Yeah, no, I don't necessarily want it to be a spy element. I just trying to justify why the hero would also freeze themselves. Mm-hmm. I don't think stolen goods would do it. Also, if it was just stolen goods, you're like, oh, he froze himself too. Cool. We're gonna put this all in a container and wait. At worst,
that's
whereas if it's a contrived plot where like I have hostages that you right, so like the moment you have a situation where there's hostages, suddenly it's sensitive, or it's like, oh, we can't just I don't know, it felt
okay. I mean, let's throw this around. I like the hostage idea. It gives a set piece at the very least. If our Hans Gruber villain fails at a height, like steal, like the memorabilia, the time capsule, whatever, gets to 2022 and it's worthless, and then okay, well then I need to steal something else. Has a group of hostages, and a cop uses Kyle Danger's method to stop the bad guy and save the hostages, but the bad guy gets away. And then that's like, well, I was only able to stop him at this point. There's only one man who can stop him. It's Kyle Danger, who died in 1992. Let me revive him or get him here in some capacity, or then chase our villain to stop him. Okay. Maybe. I don't know if that's a way to open the movie or whatnot, but we need to figure out a way to get our hero here. Mm-hmm. The hostages, stealing memorabilia, whatever the case may be. Cloning might be the way to go. If we don't want to use time travel and we don't want to cryogenically freeze and we want to use something that's very 2022 and something that's also very 1992,
sure,
to be like, you clone me like some sheep. I don't know, that he would be upset by that.
Okay. You can't copy greatness.
You can't but here I am. Where's my guns? I don't know.
I just realized that and it's totally okay. The direction you're taking him, like with his obsession with guns and cocking it to make his point and stuff like that, is very. What was the Sledgehammer? It's very Sledgehammer.
Yeah. Probably from 92
actually,
as well.
It's from earlier than 92. Mm-hmm. But that's perfect. Like Sledgehammer would be the perfect character for this. It was that type of humor.
It's the gun can solve everything.
Yeah. He had a special pillow that he would put the gun on, and it would lay next to him in bed.
Oh, Kyle, listen, Danger. There are some situations you can't shoot your way out of. Not true. Did it for my wedding day. Worked just fine. God damn it, man. Listen, you put the gun down. We have to solve this a different way.
I'm up for the challenge.
And then he can't put his gun down.
Yeah.
I'm setting it. I swear I'm setting it down. Let go. I can't let go. I'm trying and it just won't come free of my hand. God like one of those action figures that the gun comes molded to. That sounds super cool, like G.I. Joe's. Yeah. Okay. I think we should take a break here and sort of reevaluate some of our ideas. And let's see if we can come back and hone this in, because we got something here. There is something here, but I don't know if we've got something super solid that we're latching onto. I don't know, but it's the time, the genre picked in the time travel, the time jump is what's stymieing us. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a break here. We'll hear some messages from 6.5 Media, our wonderful overlords who take care of us here
all the time.
Yeah, man. Here's some commercials from other cool shows. Whatever. All right. we'll be right back, folks.
Hey there, podcast listeners. I am David.
And I'm Kate.
And together we host a podcast that you might be interested in if you like The Legend of Zelda.
There are lots of awesome podcasts out there and a lot of awesome Zelda podcasts out there.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. In fact, that is the name of our show, Another Zelda Podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We do a couple top 10 lists here and there.
We have some deep dive episodes, and we even pepper in a couple quiz episodes.
We talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. If it has to do with The Legend of Zelda, we talk about it.
You can check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and a lot of the other podcast services that are out there.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Hey, this is Jordan Johnson. And I'm Max Olmsted. And we're at the Top Hat Balloon Show here. Yes, so it's a sketch comedy show, and it's a complete secret to everyone. Yeah, it's a super secret. It comes out weekly, but only you can know about it. Yes, you're one of the special few who we're telling about it. Yeah, so make sure you go to YouTube, iTunes, or our website, tophatballoonshow.com. Yeah, and watch our videos and subscribe, but don't tell anyone. Well, tell some people. Maybe tell some people. Maybe a few folks. Maybe only tell, each of you only tell 20 people each. Yes. Then it'll still be small and cool, but... Yeah, but it's a secret, okay? Yeah. It's a secret. Keep that in mind. The secret Top Hat Balloon Show, okay? Goodbye.
Okay. 1992 to 2022.
So, for the second half, I'm thinking, let's ignore how we get there for now. What's the premise going to be? What's the heist? An idea occurred to me. So when he finally gets to the future, there's a confusion about how the future works. Maybe the original plan was in the future, banks are going to have more money. Or something.
They have less tangible money, and it's more
and they have less tangible. So that's what at first happens. Our future, or our villain, tries to rob a bank or several banks. I'm going to rob a whole network of banks. They have
I don't even have $1 million here.
Yeah,
this is bullshit.
Yeah, and so then he has to put a new plan together, and that's where his I guess this is sort of just stealing Austin Powers' plot a little bit.
That's okay. This is supposed to be a replication of it. So go ahead.
But one of his henchman's kids is now a hacker.
There we go.
And there could even be jokes about what hacking was in 1992 versus what it is in 2022.
I know what this is. Where's the headset?
What? No.
Put on your sunglasses.
We need to make phone sounds. No one pick up the phone while we do this.
Is that still a problem?
So that the kid's no, we just need to rob these accounts and send the money to the Caymans. Ah, yes, the Caymans. I remember the Caymans.
Because even back then there would have been currency exchanging online, or like the beginnings of that, but not to the extent it is now.
Yeah, where everything is just ones and zeros.
Yeah, like credit cards certainly already existed, but like everyone exchanging money on their phones. Like if the bad guy sees someone,
that'd be kind of funny. So he's like, "Give me your phones."
Yes. Like if someone exchanges like $20 through Venmo or whatever, and he's like, "Aha! Now I have your $20 right here. Where is it? How do I get it? You're kidding me? Like
so he's Derek Zoolander now.
Where does the money go in here?
It went from my phone to that guy's phone. Give me that phone.
Now I have both your. Okay, how do I get it out of here?
No, they're NFTs. They're digital. That you don't actually hold them.
Listen.
How do I steal them?
And put them in a suitcase, okay? I just want to walk out of a place with a suitcase full of cash. How do I do that? Why would you limit yourself to a suitcase? A briefcase? Is that what you mean? Did I say suitcase? I meant briefcase. Okay, sorry. I tangent off of that.
I was trying to jump past the first problem to jump to the rest of the movie, the rest of the plot.
So if it's a hacker and digital currency and like,
I guess what other tropes are there to play with in the genre, right? Like the spy movies have funny names and funny costumes.
Well, let's see. Of the action genre, if that's what we're going to still stick with here, kidnapping a family member.
Sure.
So there's usually like, now it's personal. Mm-hmm. Right, like every one of the Lethal Weapons, one of Danny Glover's kids gets kidnapped.
It's true.
So there is that.
Does Kyle Danger have a family?
Kyle Danger,
he would have like essentially a dysfunctional family that is now estranged.
Mm. So then, kidnapping or his kid is a really straight-laced cop, and he's almost disappointed that, like, if in 1992 his kid was born and now his kid is 30 and is just like a by the book, really timid kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of painting cops in a bad way then. And then it's like, you need to be more aggressive. Maybe that's the wrong message to send. Never mind. I take it all back.
Well, but that's going to end up being right. That ends up being, doesn't that end up being the point of our movie? Is this character shows up and the future tells him maybe there is a different way, but also his way is what needs to solve. Because it ultimately, isn't that what happened like with Austin Powers, which was maybe I need to settling down and being a one chick kind of guy is the new Austin Powers way. Mm-hmm. And he also took down Dr. Evil his way as well. He was a funny spy, but he wasn't incompetent. He was incompetent in scenes, but ultimately he got the job done.
Skilled and got the job done. Yeah, that is fair. That really, I think he just convinces everybody. It just becomes a 1960s James Bond movie because he's going up against a 1960s James Bond villain.
Yeah,
Dr. Evil is trying to have a drill that goes to the center of the earth and blows up the world for $1 billion. Right? Mm-hmm. It's, give me money or I'll blow up the world, and escapes in his big boy rocket ship.
And so what we're saying is, we're going to take some early 90s cops and robbers and drop them in the modern day, and in the end, ultimately have them do what they did in the 90s.
So if the answer to, so if in the 90s, a cop and robber, good blanket term there, would just shoot guns until everything blows up, everyone else is dead, and then it's the last two of them in some sweaty, greasy throwdown fight where the good guy wins.
Yeah.
Trying to let them do that in 2022, I mean, that's kind of what action movies have always been. But having them wanting to do that again and having like good guys and bad guys surrounding these two characters, it's like, no, this is too violent. This is and saying, like, just let them fight it out, like letting the two of them play out their finale,
or maybe suggesting the way they do it isn't like. I could imagine, like, it's a very off-colored joke, but like to have a cop on the side go, step on his neck.
Oh my
and Kyle
God.
Danger goes, oh my God,
No. Get that guy out of here. Take his badge. What the hell? Well, I would never have done that in the past. Pistol whip.
I will
Shoot
punch
a
this
kneecap.
guy until his face is mulch.
Just meat.
But I'm not
Just
gonna.
ground beef. You suck, sir. Oh man, I don't. That might not. That's too insensitive a joke to laugh at here,
Sure.
which is why like when you kick this off by saying a cop on the edge, I'm like, you're playing in some dangerous commentary territory here.
But that felt like the right genre.
Sure.
The concept of the challenge,
The
of the demand.
like having the old school punch them up, right? John McClane wasn't doing judo. Even if you go to Die Hard 4 and Maggie Q is like flipping around and doing that, and there's the parkour guy in the ventilation system, and John McClane is just like barely keeping up because he's like, what is this? What is like Circus Soleil over here? And he's still just using his old methods and can't keep up. There's some humor to be had in that if Kyle Danger, who is, I've got my revolver or my gun, and I can shoot my way and punch my way out of anything, and I do a couple of good kicks, is going up against someone who's fighting like John Wick. The only thing Kyle Danger has at his side is his tenacity to somehow not get killed. Because
right. So like in every fight, he's actually having the crap kicked out of him. And then at the end, he like throws one haymaker.
Yeah, and it's like a super telegraphed one.
Yeah.
And even like after it's over, he's just like, and I know this kind of touches on Last Action Hero, where it's just like he's barely scathed. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I got hit in the arm, but I'm fine. Are you sure? You got shot in the arm.
Yeah,
it's fine. Just I'll wrap my. Hold on a second. He rips like the other sleeve off his one arm of his shirt, and he puts there you go. I'm good. Just ties it with his teeth. He's like, I'm good to go. Let's go on to let's get the next guy.
Sure.
Oh, wait. I think I have an idea. New idea.
New idea.
All the villains. That it's not Hans Gruber versus Kyle Danger.
Sure.
It's multiple villains. It's an entire rogues gallery of 90s villains. So we got Speed, we got Lethal Weapon, we got Die Hard, we've got like
Sure.
grabbing a bunch of villains, a bunch of 90s tropey villains to then Kyle Danger has to go from one to the other.
Okay.
Like take them out one at a time. And is that something? I don't know. It just literally sprung to my mind.
Yeah, no, they've planned an ultimate heist. What I don't know what that is, because there are action movies that have gone pretty crazy. Like, we're gonna steal the government was the plot of Die Hard 4.
That's true. You were gonna steal time. That's Tenet, right?
Yeah.
Well, information about whatever. Could they go after?
Oh my God. Could we do that? They steal time? There's no time travel. They stole 30 years.
They just
from the world, from well, maybe it seems like they stole it from the world, but it was really just themselves and Kyle.
You're gonna have to like explain this to me. Like, what do you mean?
They have like whatever their device is, a sci-fi device, is set to steal time. So like they set it off almost like a bomb, and so everyone in a certain area of the bubble, the time explosion, basically is from their understanding is suspended for 30 years. For the people around them, they've disappeared. Basically, they've teleported 30 years into the future.
Okay.
And when they get there, it's not just boom, and then we've moved us. Like, the bad guys now have a MacGuffin of a device with a yellow glow in it, and that's 30 years of time.
And what can they use?
I don't know why they put themselves. Well, they had to put themselves in it because the container went to the future.
There's something here. Like the idea of a time capsule, like even if they call it their time bomb, whatever, and they set it off, and that's when Kyle Danger died. Like, he shot the case or something and it exploded, and they all got zapped 30 years into the future.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you don't want Kyle to have the same way to the future as the villains?
Oh, no, I'm saying he would, that they all jump together. That when the time bomb
like
goes
they're
off.
all there together, and Kyle's like, "No, I'm going to stop you." Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
And then bang, boom, they're zapped
to the future.
And then they want to set the bomb off bigger. They want to.
I don't know. They now have a container of time. I don't know. What would you do if you had 30 years? Never mind that you lost 30 years.
Maybe there's something in here. If we're creating this, like, we're using a time capsule. Well, you said let's not worry about how they get there, but now we're sort of trying to create a MacGuffin out of this.
Because then you suggested, what if it's a whole bunch of them? And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then how do they all get, like, I don't know. It brought me back to that. Really,
it was basically to create a way to have Kyle go from like one action set piece to another, tracking down this guy. It might not be necessary to have multiple villains from the 90s. Now we can still just stick with the one Hans Gruber. But you might be onto something with like if the idea was I have this memorabilia, I get to the future, it's worth nothing. I want to make that work. NFTs and not understanding like memorabilia it doesn't matter now. There's such an oversaturation. What can be worth something and special is so limited, and then how much is it special and whatnot is indeterminate. It's like, oh, NFTs are worth millions for a month. Now they're worth nothing. Yeah. Oops.
Well, how do I make this worth a bunch then? You got to get people to want it.
Oh, God. How do I do that? You got to have a following.
Yeah.
I have a following. You follow me. There's 5 of us here. That's not going to work, man. Let's just kidnap Jeff Bezos and make him give us all his money. I don't know. So, okay.
The other thing that's occurring to me, and I know it leans into what we're already doing, again, going back to the premise of making it making it spies. What if the villain in classic spy movie fashion has an overly contrived plot and has all, like, he has his lair and he has all these things, and our hero is unlike Austin Powers, who is overly sexualized and all that. Our hero is just overly violent.
Well, yeah, I like that.
Like just like literally plowing through walls and stuff like that. Like, I've created an elaborate trap, and he just busts it, and it's broken. Could that be something, or is that's almost like the opposite? Like, I feel like we're almost rooting for the villain to stop this unstoppable force.
Tank of an asshole who's just
played by Zac Efron.
Apparently. I don't think Zac Efron's right. I think it needs to be someone much more.
I think there could be a bunch of, by doing that, actually by making the villain the actual main character, and thus the hero, the spy, is the antagonist of this. I think that could be interesting, because literally he'd be this whirlwind force that would just be tearing everything apart. And then he pauses, stops, and gives a gleaming smile. And it's like crystal clean Zac Efron. Like, you just
stop smiling.
Like, literally there's blood spattered across the entire room. And you are you're just spick and span. And
did you see I got hit? I got hit in the arm right here. Great, it just grazed me. So I'm not spick and span. By the way, I shouldn't say that. It's racist. I've learned.
Wait, no, it's a brand name.
Yeah, racist brand. I've learned.
Oh.
I apologize if that was offensive.
No, I didn't know where to improv with. And you said a racist thing. I guess I did.
Sorry.
I'm the one who should be apologizing.
I'm blushing here. Man, Arnie, you gave us quite a fascinating.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be way easier.
I'm not admitting defeat or anything by any stretch of the imagination.
No. Me neither. That's not what I was doing at all.
Yeah. And Arnie, I don't want you to be. I didn't need to poo-poo your your demand. I realized that I might have came off mean when I was like, he's written the whole story here. It's just to give us the room here to try to craft something. You've given us a really excellent prompt, and it's proving quite challenging. There is something in the over masculine beefcake 90s hero,
whether it's spy movie, cop movie, just action movies
sci-fi
in general.
action movie, just that action trope of the 90s went away with stuff like we know enough. We can the new James Bond is actually that he just brute forces his way through scenarios. Sure. And he's been doing it since 2006.
Right,
like
John Wick is it? Like you point out, John Wick is about that. He's
right, but John Wick isn't a hyper masculine.
That's true.
Representation of he's not the alpha male. The idea of alpha male.
He doesn't have to scream because the roids are taking over.
Right. the jacked up.
Yeah.
Hyper masculine superhero hero of the 90s. And
superhero.
Yeah, but we could say that John McClane, Bruce Willis sort of changed that because in '89 he was the antithesis of Schwarzenegger and Stallone, who were just muscle bound, just rippling, manly men. And then here comes this schlub who's in the wrong place at the wrong time and reinvented action movies.
Yep.
And we even to go back to the Expendables, which is supposed to be this recapturing of the glory of the late 80s, early 90s, hyper masculine, muscular, manly men action movies. And those movies aren't as good as they could be because
in our opinion.
In our opinion, yes. Yeah. And I think it's because they take themselves so seriously and aren't having enough fun with making fun of the fact that is sort of a passé way of doing action movies.
They don't have to. Yeah, they didn't have to lampoon or anything, and they're just have more
of a catchphrases,
more fun with it. Yeah.
The Gray Man just came out. That's Ryan Gosling plays a super spy. He's going toe to toe with Chris Evans, who's playing like a former super spy turned psychopathic hunter.
Sure.
And that movie, The Gray Man, is every bit a James Bond movie, except there's no romantic subplot. He doesn't sleep with any women in it. There's not even any hint that there is a romance between Ryan Gosling's Six and Ana de Armas's Martina, her agent character. It is James Bond 100% minus that. So 90%. So when I see action movies now that are the beefcake John Cena, but taking it really seriously, action movies, they feel
like
silly.
Like The Marine.
Yeah. And I know that movie's probably like 10 years old at this point. But I see that and I think, oh, this is really silly. And actually, John Cena would be great for a movie like this. Like John Cena playing a 90s action man.
Yeah.
He's so funny and he's so jacked up and ripped like Schwarzenegger, like Stallone was of that era.
Yeah.
He'd be perfect for something like this.
That's true.
Because he could play the jokes really well. Look at Peacemaker, who sort of represents that attitude of,
oh yeah, he's an embodiment of all of those characters. He's for peace no matter how many men, women, and children he has to kill to get it.
That's right. Sorry, we got quiet there for a second. I was like, oh my God, is this not recording? It's recording. We're fine.
So in that way, right, you always tell me to vamp. You always need to tell me to vamp because I am way too used to the conversational, like when you pause, like, oh, I'm going to pause too because that's what you do in a conversation. And that's...
No, keep talking.
That makes for good...
The people need to be entertained, James. John Cena as Kyle Danger, the action man. This might be too much like Peacemaker.
Yeah.
But to put him in a position of
gets flung into the future. What if we even do it where it's not really explained how?
He just wakes up.
There's some weird like spinning around the room and he's in the maybe that's too Last Action Hero. I don't know if people would accept. Would you accept a movie where a character's flung into the future and it's not explained how?
No, I refuse.
You might. Some people
Rebel
might.
Wilson clones him and puts him to work. Get the bad guy. Actually, Peacemaker is a pretty good example of this level of ridiculousness, and also like, hey, you need to learn things have changed. This is not how things are done now. So that might be something new we could sort of prototype it. But imagining John Cena playing Kyle Danger, which is what we've named this guy.
It can change.
That's on the poster. It just says Kyle Danger.
It's there. There's nothing about names that make them definitively of an era.
Right,
but Kyle has always felt like there's a number of them. That was the first one that came to mind. That feels like a late 90s or a 90s, a late 20th century kind of name.
It's just dawning on me that I wonder if Arnie is not actually our studio's lead's name, but if they were trying to like Arnold Schwarzenegger Arnie. It's ARNE.
I mean, probably it's a name. ARNE is also a name.
Okay. I just wondered if. What do we got here? We can get him here, and we can get him like we have action set pieces of like blowing shit up, and like I love that you pointed out that Die Hard 4 is trying to steal the government. But that is sort of a plot to look towards, is of getting our character from A to B to C to D, chasing down the bad guy to then have a punch up with him.
Yeah.
So that's not the worst thing in the world to look at as far as something to template this after.
Sure.
Right, because Die Hard 3 is around this era. We saw Lethal Weapon 3 on the list of highest grossing movies of this year, and that's very much running and gunning. So what makes 2022 action movies different than 1992 action movies? Because 2022 action movies, looking at John Wick, they're way more violent. They're way more bloody. Well, I don't know. They're actually not as bloody. I don't actually know that
they're,
but
they're more kinetic because the way movies are filmed and edited.
There's something of our main character being like, everything moves so quickly now. I can't keep up. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Sure.
That he can't keep up with the speed.
Do we want to play on that notion of Lethal Weapon where he wasn't alone? We keep thinking McClane. We're not thinking Riggs and Murtaugh.
If Riggs and Murtaugh are the pair, if they're both brought into this.
But one is frozen and or cloned, and the other just aged
30 years.
Yeah, and he was already too old for this.
I told you before. That's something right there. Now we're on to something here. That's funny. That if the partner aged up and it was already, it's like the John Mulaney joke about Doc Brown being 40 and or 60 at all times.
Yes.
So if you have our too old for this shit 1992 guys still too old for this shit
in 2022
in 2022, that's funny. So that's his partner on this, and then now we have the character to be like, this is, you can't.
And he's the third wheel. So our and would we go with the ridiculousness that he's still a cop?
The too old for this? Yeah. He's still one day from retirement.
Still on the force. And his new partner, since the Riggs carrier, since Kyle Danger died and or was frozen, his partner is the Rebel Wilson type, the newer cop. And so he's the third wheel because he's back now. So it's between the old cop who's too old to keep up, knows this guy and just kind of sighs and rolls his eyes, and the new cop who's all like, what is wrong with you? How did you get away with any of this?
This is not cool. If Kyle Danger is blown up and dies in 1992 and our Murtaugh has like a vial of blood around his like that he's been keeping it around his neck as like a keepsake or something,
okay,
and that's what they clone, is like the last bit, all that's left was his pinky finger. Let's clone his pinky finger.
Okay. You know, and some of that type of technology might fit in because technically would Face Off fall into this?
Oh yeah,
realm. I know that's late 90s, but
Robot Cop.
Sure. Again, that more sci-fi, but let's sure. Why not?
But I'm just imagining Kyle Danger coming back and even saying
if Rocky can have a robot butler,
that his brother-in-law was having sex with.
Wait, was he?
Look back, man. He's definitely got a relationship with that robot. Kyle Danger comes back and thinks he's like RoboCop and like punches a locker and is like, ah.
Well, I'm starting to go too sci-fi. I'm wondering if like whatever the cloning thing was, what if he like can't die? It's not a matter of like he's reanimated.
Lobo.
He's not reanimated like as a zombie or something, but like literally he reforms. So like the bad guys are able to blow him up several times.
Almost T-1000X-esque, but with bone, muscle, and skin. Just nice try.
Ow.
Ow, 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 ow. I don't feel pain. I'm just saying it because it was appropriate for the moment. Ow, ow, ow.
And I think actually that could work because then we don't have to have things that look too sci-fi-y on screen.
Mm-hmm.
But we can still do all these crazy things with the character. He essentially becomes like a Stretch Armstrong or a Mr. Bill.
Oh no! Oh no, Mr. Bill. That's okay. I like that
because it definitely leans in a cartoon manner into the character being an unstoppable force.
I like where you're going there, but I think it's better to go the Last Action Hero route where he just is okay.
Okay.
So that the partner of Murtaugh, the young cop, is like, how? Hold on a minute. I dislocated both my shoulders. All right, let's go. Oh my God.
I mean, it could be ridiculous. Like I've dislocated one shoulder, so let me pull the other one out to even it out. Why wouldn't you just put that one back in? That's not possible. That's not how arms work.
That's not how arms work.
That's exactly how they work.
See, now in Austin Powers, aside from pointing out the anachronistic thinking that Austin has, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Everyone plays it super straight, so you don't have a character that's like, "What are you doing? Are you kidding?" Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't have that, but having at least that the young cop be like constantly like, Jesus God, right? I look to again to Peacemaker. There's plenty of opportunities. Characters looking at John Cena's character and be like, "Dude, what?" Are you doing?
Well, it also speaks more to kind of the generations. I feel like a part of that comedy in the 90s, like there's a propriety of like, well, I mean, that's wrong. We're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's very
Call
much
people out.
Gen Z and young millennials are like, you old people did it totally wrong.
And just calling it that you're right. That is perfectly on brand for the era to have the younger character be very wrong. Don't stop.
Bad danger.
Don't talk to me like that. Like I'm some sort of dog.
I was trying to think. You want a beer? You want a cold beer? Yes. Yeah, I want a cold beer. Will you not say that anymore? Will you not call people that anymore?
Fine.
Oh, okay. Here you go.
I just find this whole scenario very retarded. That's not. You can't say that anymore.
You can't have the beer if you say that word.
Which one? Beer?
No.
Yes,
that one.
Well, what can I say? How am I supposed to tell someone they're being stupid?
You can say they're being stupid.
It just doesn't feel the same. Ridiculous.
That's gay. What?
Why would you? If there was any other way to explain something being gay, I would use it. But that's the only word I can think of. Oh my God. You are going to get I'm TikTok. I'm putting this on TikTok. Go ahead. Say it again. I dare you. Stop pointing your calculator at me. This is a cell phone. And he pulls out the Zach Morris brick.
This is a cell phone.
The South Park guys talk about some of the very, very off-color humor that they would put on the show. They usually give it to Cartman.
Sure.
And they talk about the Archie Bunker method.
Yeah.
You can have a character say anything, even the worst kind of stuff, as long as everyone around them tells them not to. That points out that's heinous, evil, wrong, don't do that. So then you can And they use that in a very wonderfully satirical way of addressing social norms. And I think there's plenty of opportunity for, I mean, we're just doing it right here with, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely no, stop. Don't. We talked about this. You can't say that anymore.
What? It's Italian.
It's Italian. I'm talking about music. Those kind of conversations.
Even then it wasn't. It's
those kind of jokes work really, really well. Like I think that can work really well, right? Sure. To have him be so dated in his way of talking.
Yeah.
And then I like the idea more that he's just indestructible. That he, instead of him like being unkillable, that he's just. Because if you look at those 90s action movies, they always
like doing the, oh my God, you got shot. It's just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh
wound.
Like
that means anything.
But you get to the end of those movies, John McClane is beaten to a pulp, and he's at the. It's always the T-800 is been like chipped away, and like you always get to the end of the movies when they're like, oh, we haven't caught this guy yet. I'm going to be fine for at least another few hours.
Yeah.
Like, really? Are you sure? You got run over by a truck. It's like, I'm fine.
It's just bruise.
I just rolled with it.
Yeah.
It's just a bruise. And then in the last fight is when he finally starts getting like, how are you not okay now? This is usually what happens. Those kind of things, maybe.
Yeah.
But what's a finale here? How does this all culminate? Whether it's a heist that leads to a hostage situation, which I do like that.
Right. Hans Gruber dropped from a skyscraper. I can't remember the name of the villain in Last Boy Scout. Got dropped into helicopter blades.
Helicopter blades, yes.
T-1000 was melted.
Melted, yeah.
Frozen and then melted. How was Simon finally defeated in Demolition Man?
Frozen and shattered?
Frozen again?
Like frozen in ice and then shattered?
Yeah.
Speed, how does that end? Blown up, right?
Yeah.
Or is he shot? There's no way to know.
Oh my God.
It's been a long time.
Dennis Hopper.
And in
I think he's shot. I think
in Austin Powers, Dr. Evil gets away.
Yeah.
We've created a scenario we've already created a contrivance in our movie that someone can be cloned and brought back to life. So even if we blow up our villain, we still can have some of his blood saved by the hacker kid or whatnot.
Sure.
Or actually just stick with 90s to upload him into like a Johnny Mnemonic style, like
even better, Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man, yeah. So that
I consist of a whole 100 polygons.
I'm 300 gigabytes, 300 kilobytes of space. He's on a floppy disk. There you go, Arnie. We got your floppy disk. We worked a floppy in here. It's the only place we could put him. But killing him, blowing him up, having Kyle Danger just obliterate this guy in a final fisticuffs. Shoot him up. You think a punch, because like most of those villains, it seems more often than not that the villain is weaker than the hero, and therefore a fist to fist fight doesn't really, like, the muscle is who John McClane fights.
Sure,
the villain is usually defeated with a bullet.
Yeah, I mean in the final, I think like that's probably what it would come down to is the hero in our case Kyle has fought his way to the end, and he's defeated all the henchmen who did kick and punch and shoot at him, but now he's almost defeated, and the villain shoots him, right? Not like takes him down to one layer, like finally shoots the gun out of his hand. Oh, his gun
finally dropped his gun.
Yeah, and then the slow clap is wonderful, and goes up to give him his long coming execution, and he goes up and he puts the gun up to his head, and Kyle just to say it sounds. So he dodges a bullet.
He dodges the bullet.
He basically like ducks to the side and then punches. like gives him a punch to the gut, and then Kyle gets to his foot, and the villain's like, oh, because he's punched, gives him another punch, uppercuts him, so now he's standing upright, and Kyle stands up and then gives him one last punch to the jaw, knocking him off the roof of wherever they're at. Because punches win the day, but also they have to fall a long distance.
Can he land in his memorabilia and just somehow get like lawnmowered?
Yep.
Right. And
you can even build to that by saying, well, look, you have all of these Tamagotchis. The only way to make them valuable, because you have too many of them, you need to make it so there's fewer. So he's like, we will destroy them.
Not just the
I can feel the value of the one I have going up.
It feels heavier somehow. Yeah, that's great. That all the things he collected are worth nothing because there's so much of it. So then he collects as much as he can to then destroy all of it. Mm-hmm. So then the remaining stuff he has goes up in value.
Yeah.
And the thing he's using to destroy them, he falls into. And of course, it's from a great height and slow-mo.
Yep.
And just splattering partner who's too old for this shit and new partner.
Yep.
And there's Kyle up at the top, beaten and bloody, but victorious.
Yeah, and finally he falls because of all his wounds and stuff. Like, yeah.
All right, now
that's how you throw a punch. I don't know.
And then,
you're under arrest.
You have the right to remain dead.
It would be something like, yeah.
And then the epilogue of this, whereas typical of James Bond, Austin gets the girl and he's in a hotel. I think the end of this would be to like go before the chief or the captain, and the captain who I guess we would see him at some point, but to just be like, fire him. Just like, you have broken give me your badge, give me your gun, you're off the force. I don't even know. Like, just like flips out like the cliche
the classic,
90s, the classic captain. And Kyle's just smiling like, I love this part. This is great. Don't worry, they'll be calling next week, and then like they'll call us back. They'll need us. It's like he's just so happy. Like, he's just happy to be yelled at by his captain again. Which the captain could be a character in this that is like very calm and never like loses his cool, so that in the end the captain.
Was that So I Married an Axe? Alan Arkin played a chief of police. I think it was So I Married an Axe Murderer, and it starts with him yelling, and then it turns out he's like rehearsing a script. So when he calls the detective in, he's just talking to him very calmly.
Michael Keaton plays a pretty chill captain in The Other Guys, which is Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell's movie. But having this like this captain who never loses his cool in the end, handing your badge, handing your gun.
There's a couple ways to go about it. Like when Kyle Danger first shows up, he's very calm, and just through the movie, the captain just gets more and more frazzled.
Just finally loses the point, it.
Yeah.
and fires him from the force. So then he can be on the beach. He's in a Hawaiian shirt.
But it wouldn't be fired. It'd be, you are on indefinite suspension.
I've been suspended before. It's like, and just on a beach. Hawaiian shirt open to show off his glistening chest, just drinking a beer, sunglasses, Wayfarers on, and just like, all right, I can't believe I got fired. I can finally retire, right? The three of them, and like, oh, he'll be calling. He'll need us. They always call us back. We always get pulled back into the action, and then if we want to end with them getting called back in, having the Murtaugh character be like, I guess retirement's gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
What actually Murtaugh being 50, having an 80-year-old play him now,
like so he would have like a walker.
Yeah, he's like, I told you I'm too old for this. But he's very good in the fight.
I just can't afford retirement.
He's just that's how broken our police system is. We have no retirement plan for him.
It isn't true at all. They actually have really good pensions.
Oh, darn it. He doesn't have a good pension.
Yeah, for whatever reason. He gambled it away. And
he invested in crypto.
Oh, there you go. And then the police force was like, yeah, we'll keep you on.
He's just not ready to retire. He's just one day from retirement.
Sure. And
yeah. Okay. There's something there.
I hope it was at least an entertaining episode, if anything.
What this comes down to is Austin Powers, as we discussed in watching it again and on our commentary track, we discussed this, is the plot of it, while thin, it's a good plot. There's Austin learns lessons. It's sweet. It's thin. It's small, but there's a little bit of an arc there. And over the course of the 3 movies, there's a much bigger arc for Dr. Evil. Mm-hmm. But in that first one, Austin has a very small arc of learning a lesson. I learned something today. But just having that simple A, B, C, D plot, following the Bond movies, checking off the tropes, and then filling it with every possible joke, any opportunity to tell a joke, whether it's look how things have changed, look how much you don't understand, look how much of a fisheye. Anytime there's an opportunity for that, they take it, and nearly every joke works. There's very few that don't.
Sure.
And I think that's what this is. It's having this plot and then injecting it with as many jokes as possible. But not going to the Angie Tribeca level, Naked Gun. I don't think it should go to that, because that's not what Austin Powers is. Austin Powers isn't a Naked Gun movie. Austin Powers is a type of comedy that's not. I don't know.
It kind of is, though.
Yeah,
it definitely has a different flavor to it, but it's definitely in that vein.
I think this, whatever this would be, this not Austin Powers, this Kyle Danger movie just created, should feel like the third act of Hot Fuzz. The third act of Hot Fuzz.
I don't think Hot Fuzz fits that
not
type
enough
of comedy. I think The Other Guys is closer.
Okay, all right, but just in that it should be a badass action movie that's laughing at the changes in the eras.
Yeah,
but not just pure buffoonery. And I think that's what Naked Gun movies are, is that they're absolute buffoonery. Or Airplane. I'll look at Airplane. Airplane is like, we're blowing up the autopilot. I speak jive, like stuff like that is just super, super, super silly stuff. It's very, very funny. I love Airplane and I love Naked Gun. I love Loaded Weapon would be an example of.
Well, it's funny. I actually think Austin Powers is full of comedy like that.
It is.
But weirdly, like the way it maintains the anachronisms of Austin and Dr. Evil is everything from the 60s is that type of ridiculous. And they do this really weird transition where all of Dr. Evil's henchmen, anyone who's left over from the 60s, still has this a little bit leftover ridiculousness to. Some of them have changed very, like number 2 has evolved very well.
But Frau
Basil Exposition has evolved very well, but there's still a remnant
60,
still a little bit of that ridiculousness and because they lean into the gay sharks with lasers on their heads. I realize that's not quite the same as does anyone on this plane speak jive.
It's a fine line. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it should be weirdly taken seriously in a way that that Austin Powers' plot is very much James Bond, paint by numbers, and then just every opportunity to tell a joke, they take it.
Sure.
But the jokes are always on brand within the realm. It's not sticking, like, to look at the Freeberg and Seltzer bullshit spoof movies, right? Like,
no, it's not about if you're going to make references to other movies, it has to be movies. Well, it's not that those don't make movies that are in. Those always go for very contemporary pop culture references. Any references that are going to be made need to be made to the genre of that era.
Right.
They would need to be Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Bad Boys referenes.
Yes. And I guess that's why when I was comparing to Hot Fuzz, that's what I was saying, is like, keep it on brand.
Sure.
I don't want to see references to other things of the era just because they're from the 90s. Unless it's on brand, no. Like our bad guy's henchman, he should have an Asian dude with nunchucks. Like when I think of Die Hard, there's the guy who takes the crunch bar. That actor is in like a bunch of 80s action movies.
He is, yeah.
Someone like that. Or I hope
I always think of the overly European angry henchman.
Yes, yeah. We should be able to say, as fans of Die Hard or of the Lethal Weapon movies, to go.
Basically, they need to be European dancers with ponytails. That's really what they are.
Yes. If any of those henchmen have carried over into the 30 years later, then they should feel like, oh, that's sort of like reminiscent of this 90s villain henchman, right? So Arnie, how do we do? I don't know. This doesn't have it's not as solidified as an idea, but I think it's just we've laid out a plot here. I feel like we're missing an act too, but we've laid out the ideas of a beginning and a culmination, and that's just injecting the jokes in there. How did we do? Do you have any, I'm not trying to wrap things up here.
I do hope we made an episode entertaining to listen to, but I think we failed.
You think we failed?
I think we failed.
Well,
I do like what we came up with. I think maybe we ventured too far. I think maybe we should have stuck with spies
instead of trying to do. But see, spy movies just weren't big in the 90s like they were in the 60s. I think you were right to pick the action tropey.
The cop action movie.
Yeah, that feels more 90s.
Yeah.
So I don't think you were wrong to go there. But the beefcake muscle-bound action hero of the 90s, and any attempt to bring that back now, like redoing RoboCop or Total Recall. Anytime they try to even Point Break, when they try to redo a 90s action movie now, they redo it like a movie from now.
Yeah.
If we're going to take the 90s movie, then we should do it like a 90s movie.
Yeah.
And not take it so John Wick gritty, serious. Don't turn it into the modern action movie.
Well, it's weird, like, because the movies of the 90s they were making them serious. They were serious. What we would need to do is make them like the 90s, thinking they're right. It is about flexing your muscles and hearing the leather stretch kind of sound.
Dylan, I know it's 87, but you son of a bitch. Like, oh, I want to hear the testosterone's coursing through your thick tubular veins in your arm.
I mean, and that's actually not necessarily. I feel like it fits with what we're doing, but even then, it doesn't totally match with everything we'd be pulling from Mel Gibson, Bruce Willis, Will Smith. They weren't beefcakes, right? So that's not necessary to the genre. It's just some added
flavor
stuff. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we failed. I think we have something here, but ultimately it's up to.
I think we have something. But I don't think we. I'm not sure that we actually met the demand.
Well, the demand, as
just because we wrote an awesome story doesn't mean we wrote the story that was requested.
All right. Well, let's just look at it again. Arnie, your demand. So if Austin Powers was plucked out of the 90s and dropped into 1997, plucked out of the 60s and dropped into 97, that would be like if you defrosted someone from the 90s today, make that era the subject of ridicule. How's that for putting things into perspective? The stand-in character for Austin Powers should probably be a grumpy and brooding yet dominant man. Bruce Willis, Steven Seagal pastiche.
Okay, I mean it's possible. It's possible we did.
But
there's no way to know.
There's no way to know. Arnie can let us know.
Yes.
Something about the plot should be something about the dated perspective on computer hacking. Is the villain a radicalized ex-military person? How much would
honestly, Kyle Danger would have been an ex-Navy SEAL who has become a cop.
Yes. How much would the protagonist complain about PC culture? I think
a whole bunch.
Yeah, and then he goes into casting with Zac Efron and NPH. Great. I love both of them. I think they're great and should get more work. But if that's the at least the front of the demand, I feel like we got it. I don't know if we nailed it, But I feel comfortable in saying that we have enough of a pitch here that if the studio was pleased and said proceed, we could beat out this story from here. But I think that's going to do it for the episode here. We would love to know if we did meet your demand today. And actually, anyone listening, hit us up if you agree or disagree. And
which way of getting our hero and villain to the future did you like the most?
We had a couple in there. I think cloning's the way to go, but maybe it is stealing time. But how do you do that? You can message us directly at studiodemands.com or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the TikTok. Actually, I don't think we have a Studio Demands at TikTok yet, but you can find us at Studio Demands it on most of those platforms. If you're not already, you can subscribe to us on all the pod forms and podcatchers of your choice. And if people feel like leaving a review, you think
they can do that?
They can do that.
Please do it.
They can do that in app. You know what would be nice?
If they like
five star review. If you don't want to leave a 5-star review, don't leave a review.
I mean, right? Like I would appreciate 2 stars, and then 2 more stars for TC.
Yes, yeah,
and then 1 for yourself.
1 for yourself for being such a good listener. You can find me on most of the platforms at TC's Big Head. You can also reach Jim that way too, because as of yet, Tubac Wax On is in cryostasis.
I move at the pace of the 90s.
Big thank you to 6'5 Media for everything they do for us. Thank you so much for giving us this home. And please check out the other 6'5 shows that are out there. There are some new shows this season worth checking out, whatever your tastes may be. But that does it for this episode, Jim. We will be back again to meet one of your demands, not yours. I'm talking to the listeners again.
Okay.
I'm not meeting any of your demands, Jim.
Fine.
You've lied to me one too many times.
I have. I've lied. Well, I could lie a few more.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, I knew it. We'll be back again. We'll be back then to challenge and improve the world of cinema. I am TC.
I'm Jim.
Are you?
No.
Oh, that's all, folks. That's all, folks. Well, that's the end of the show. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.